The year is 2119. Following decades of devastating global heating, humanity is clinging to the fractured remnants of past civilizations. High up in the Welsh mountains, isolated academics huddle inside the remote Bodleian Snowdonia Library, desperately sifting through whatever fragments of history they can salvage. This text from Ian McEwan's novel introduces historian Tom Metcalfe, arriving at the archive on May 20, 2119, to study the period between 1990 and 2030. His focus narrows to one night in October 2014, an event scholars revere as the Second Immortal Dinner. He is consumed by the search for a legendary missing masterpiece read aloud that night by the great poet Francis Blundy, a piece titled A Corona for Vivien. Tom is convinced that recovering this lost environmental poem will inject a dose of desperately needed meaning into his broken world. In the accepted historical record, Francis and his wife Vivien exists as a perfect literary power couple, a renowned artist supported by his fiercely devoted partner. This passage outlines the academic consensus of Vivien's sacrifice. History remembers her as a muse who abandoned her career and salary to nurture her husband's genius. Scholars imagine an idyllic rural bubble, days of quiet contentment inside an isolated barn packed with 7,000 books. But 100 years later, when we actually open Vivien's private journals, the illusion shatters. The flawless history Tom worships is a complete fabrication. Vivien was suffocating. She harbored deep resentments toward her isolated life and was actively hiding massive secrets from the outside world. This text reveals her intense intellectual infidelity. She describes a desperate need for liberation, fueled by regular Tuesday trysts and literary arguments with Harry Kitchener. She viewed her marriage as a calculated arrangement, justifying her lies to herself, pleased with her cunning deceit. Her romanticized withdrawal from academia was actually a convenient escape hatch from a career that was already stalling out. The role of the devoted muse provided a perfect cover story. It allowed her to secure financial comfort while maintaining her hidden intellectual and physical freedom in secret. The lies go much deeper, tracing back to her first husband, Percy. This passage shows the devastating turning point when Percy was diagnosed with early-onset Alzheimer's and began discussing suicide. Faced with years of grueling caretaking, a terrifying exit presented itself. Francis Blundy arrived at their home one night with a shoulder bag, intending to end Percy's life. Vivien's darkest secret is her own inaction. She stood by and let it happen, quietly trading her dying husband for an affluent, comfortable life with a famous poet. This grim reality bleeds into the legendary Second Immortal Dinner itself. This account from a guest, captured in the text, reveals the elusive masterpiece wasn't a profound manifesto. It was a rambling, embarrassing piece of writing that put the audience to sleep. The foundational event of Tom's entire academic career, the magical evening he reveres, was ultimately just a miserable dinner party shared among deeply guilty people. The fact that Tom can't find the truth isn't an accident of time. Vivien and her sister-in-law Jane actively sabotaged the historical record. This passage documents a highly organized operation. The two women repeatedly visited the academic archives, systematically smuggling out the most incriminating documents and replacing them with useless junk. Once safely out of the library, Jane threw the real evidence into backyard funeral pyres, permanently erasing their true lives from existence. The gaps in the archive are a deliberate, weaponized curation. The subjects themselves destroyed the history to protect their own secrets. A century later, Tom Metcalfe sits in his freezing mountain library, agonizing over the location of a masterpiece that almost certainly went up in smoke. Ian McEwan's novel challenges its own title, suggesting that an objective historical record is an illusion. We can never truly know the past. The truth is forever at the mercy of the flawed humans who lived it and the scholars who blindly idolize them.